All right. So, welcome everyone to today's rather special video. And the people have chosen, and your voices have been heard. So, I'm going to be providing you with a complete carnivore solo tier list for Path of Titans. Now, before we begin, I would just like to let you guys know that everything included in this tier list, this is strictly taken from my personal experience with the game, from my skill level, and how I think is the best way to play the game, and how well these dinosaurs suit that gameplay. There's some criteria that they have to fulfill. For example, we're going to be looking at their damage, we're going to be looking at their HP, we're going to be looking at their mobility, their ability to get away, their ability to initiate fights, their ability to win 1v1s, and all of that. Everything is going to be taken into account with official servers solo in mind. So this is only official dinosaurs. This is not modded dinosaur. So that being said, without further ado, let us begin with number 1 on the list. And we have good old Achillobator here. Now, Achillo did recently receive I would say like a sub TLC. It was really a change of stats. They pretty much brought him down to the same combat weight as Mr. Alio here, and Paki and Conca. So they did make it a lower combat weight. For those of you who don't know what combat weight is, I will explain that in detail in another video. So, Achillobator has been brought down to their combat weights, but is by far the tankiest dino in the 2100 combat weight bracket. So Achillobator has fairly decent health for its combat weight for its size. A drawback of its low combat weight is that it can easily be picked up by Hatzegopteryx. It can pretty much be picked up by any dinosaur in the game. So that is an instant disadvantage, just simply due to the combat weight it has. Now, the stamina is very good. It's decent. It's fairly decent. On Achillobator, it's what you would expect from a nimble light mid tier. So pretty much dinosaurs that are 2100 combat weight, I'm going to be classifying them as light mid tiers. Then 27 or 2600s like Megalania here, or Ceratosaurus, I'm going to be classifying them as true mid tiers. Then Dasp and Allo and Pycno, I'm going to be classifying them as heavy mid tiers. So the ones that are 3k and above combat weight. Now, if you want to view the full stats of the dinosaurs, you can go to the Path of Titans wiki and search up dinosaur stats. Everything is in there. From their damage to their health, to their mobility, to their stamina regen, to their health regen, to the group slots that they take, and all of that. So, Achillobator has decent health, has very good stamina, and what it has going for it, it has quite a bit of tools going for it. So it has a normal bite which deals very nice damage. It has raptor strikes which deals even more damage. And it has a ripping kick, which does okay bleed. It's not too great, but it's not the worst either. You can definitely use it against heavier targets. And most importantly, you can use the kick as a gap closer and as a form of escape. So Achillobator pretty much, it can, when faced with multiple opponents, it can evade them in case they are not opponents that can also jump high or receive very little fall damage. The Achillo can use and abuse cliffs, can use ledges to its advantage to get away. So that is a huge plus for a solo player in officials because you're going to be encountering more 1vx situations than you're going to be encountering 1v1 situations. So all of these dinosaurs, in order for them to rank as high as possible on this tier list, it all depends, for the most part, how they can deal with multiple opponents when you're alone, because you're playing solo. Then it's going to be taken into account how well they fare into a 1v1, and based on that, I'm going to rank them. So against multiple opponents, it has a, I would say, above average survival rate due to the fact that it can jump from high places, and it can also jump on ledges. It can jump on rocks where others can't reach, like an Allo, for example. And what else is left to say about Achillo? It also has some group abilities, but we're not going to be discussing group capabilities in this video. So in a 1v1, Achillo has, it kind of leaves some things to be desired, because for its small size, it has a rather very bad turn radius. You would expect a tighter turn radius from a dino that has 2100 combat weight, and especially you would expect an even better precise movement. So it can be outmaneuvered, for example, by a Pachy or a Concavenator. It can definitely be outmaneuvered by the Latenivenatrix and the Deinonychus. So its 1v1 capabilities, coupled with its 1vx capabilities, I would put Achillobator in, I would say, an A tier. Achillobator is an, it almost falls below to B tier if it didn't have the jump height to its advantage, the fall damage resistance to its advantage, it would go to B tier. But because of that, I'm ranking Achillo into the A tier for the solo player. Now, here we have a fan favorite, and that's the Alioramus. And my god, I wish I could put this really high on the list. But with its current skill set, Alio is just super, super squishy and has only one form of damage, which is its bite. And it's not really that great, let's be honest here. Because for its low combat weight, it only has the ambush passive going for it. And the ambush passive only works once, and you have to be the one to initiate combat for it to work even. It has terrible turn for its size, even worse than Achillo. So riding other dinosaurs that are heavier than you is pretty much out of the question. It has a form, its fall damage resistance is fairly decent, and it can also jump, albeit not as good as Achillo. It can still do it. Now, here's one thing that it has going for it. It is the fastest carnivore in the game, right? It only falls, it falls short to Campto and Struthio, which are both herbies, and they're both smaller. So its size, its speed allows it to dictate fights. What does this mean? If people see you, if there's a group of like 5 Achillos, they spot you, right? You can run away. You can just beeline it in a straight line, and they can do nothing to catch up to you. Sure, they can spam their ripping kicks until they're out of stamina, and you can juke a bit left and right. But really, all of these dinosaurs, when they see you, you can just run in a straight line, and you're gonna be okay. So that is huge when it comes to surviving a 1vx. Also, if you see a Pachy or a Dynon or a Layton, something that you can actually fight, they also cannot get away from you because you have that huge speed advantage. So for all its drawbacks that Alio has, it has arguably the best aspect a dino can have, which is speed. It has the highest one out of all the carnivores. So keeping this in mind, I really want to put it to B tier, but with its current skill set, it needs a TLC. But from not putting it into D tier, the speed saves it and it puts it into a solid C. So Alioramus is a solid C dino. Now we got another dino that is really in need of a TLC, and that is Mr. Allo here. And Allo is one of my favorite dinosaurs in general, not just in Path of Titans. Now, Allo has pretty much, it has really decent health. It has 4,000 combat weight, so pretty much almost the double of these two. The thing I don't like about Allo is that it's clunky almost to the point that it has the clunkiness of an Apex, but it doesn't have the weight and tankiness to show for it. Like, it only has 500 combat weight more than a Dasp, but a Dasp and an Allo in terms of mobility, in terms of turn radius, on all of that are like night and day. Like 500 combat difference doesn't warrant that amount of, how do you say, slowiness that it has. So it's really, really, really bad when it comes to maneuvering, and this becomes a big issue when you're fighting apexes, dinos that are bigger than you as an allo. It makes it almost impossible to tail ride them. It also makes it super hard when you're facing, say, 2 or 3 smaller dinosaurs that can outmaneuver you. You really have to play a lot with your feints and baiting them into your bites. And even then, it's not really that reliable. So when it comes to getting away from other dinos, Allo falls a bit short. And what it has going for it is that it has a really decent bite. It has really good bleed, one of the highest bleeds in the game. So if this was a group playlist, Allo would rank higher because you could bleed out anybody with a friend or two if you're a duo or a trio of allos, but this is the solo, so that doesn't matter. So when you're solo as an allo, you really have limited options to what you can fight. And the smaller dinosaurs, you can definitely beat them in a 1v1. That is if they allow you to catch them. Allo has respectable speed. It's not as fast as the Concavenator, let's say, but it definitely can catch up to them. So it's fairly decent in 1v1. In 1vx, I'm not too sure. It doesn't really look that well. It also is in desperate need of a TLC, so Alioramus and Allo here, it's not really their fault. They're just very outdated dinos when it comes to abilities. So that being said, I kind of want to put it at, I would say it's in a better spot than the Alio. So I will put Allo in front of Alio. It's a bit higher on the C list, but almost making it to the B, but it needs something going for it in order to go there. Now, Concavenator here did really receive some really nice changes lately, and they basically gave us the option for it to go either fully aquatic or you can play the ground play style. It has a ripping kick, same way Achillobator does. It's fairly decent at bleeding out targets. The claw attack isn't the greatest because it has a really bad hitbox. More often than not, you're gonna miss. You're gonna miss more times than you're gonna hit with the claws, so I suggest you use webbed claws instead, so you can zoom through water like it was nobody's business. So it's fairly good as for a solo player due to the fact that you can either play it fully aquatic the way I do, or you can use ripping kick and still take webbed claws and nobody can catch you in water. So Conca, when near water source, is really hard to catch. It has a really, really nice escape ability that makes it really good against 1vx. Now, the damage it does is respectable. It has a 60 damage bite that has a 1 second cooldown. So every ability that has a 1 second cooldown can be spammed, and that results in fairly high DPS. Oh, It does okay in 1v1s. It can definitely fight the other dinosaurs in the same weight class as it. It falls a bit short. Well, actually, not really. For example, if you were to 1v1 a Ceratosaurus, you would probably lose. But it beats a Megalania in a straight face tank, even though Megalania is a true mid-tier, whereas the Concavenator is a light mid-tier. So, this being said, since I ranked Achillo up to A here, I guess I have to put Concavenator also into A tier. So, if it didn't have the water mobility, it would go straight to B. But because it has that, remember, dinos that have a really reliable escape mechanism, they're automatically very high on the list. Like fall damage resistance, jumping on rocks, being able to fly, being able to swim, all of that jazz. Now here we go to one of my favorite solo dinos, and that is Dasp. Dasp is just nuts. Dasp is a heavy mid tier, has 3500 combat weight if I'm not mistaken, has decent health, and my god, the bites hurt. The normal bite of Dasp is quite spammable, and it hurts a lot. Like everything below it, even an Allosaurus cannot really go toe to toe with it in a straight face tank. It just hurts a lot. And it also has access to bone break, like 2 forms of bone break. And it has one of the best precise turns out of all the heavy mid tiers. It has one of, if not the best, precise turn. It makes it incredibly well suited against fighting multiple smaller opponents, especially if you take the hide option. That causes you to take reduced damage from dinosaurs that are below your combat weight. The stamina is below average, that is a con, but the fact that it's such a powerhouse, it can send most light mid tiers running with 2 or 3 bites. The fact that it can turn incredibly well, and in a 1v1 it just absolutely melts everything. It has the hide option to spec into being able to more effectively fight multiple smaller opponents, which are, let's be honest, those are the ones that can catch you. If you're facing 3 Rexes, well, they can do anything to catch you, right? So when you're judging a dino by its ability to 1vx, you need to judge it by its ability to 1vx dinosaurs that can actually touch you physically, right? If they cannot catch you, they cannot catch you. It doesn't matter how strong they are. So all of this being said, Dasp is the first one to go to our S tier. You cannot go wrong with Dasp. It's a straight up solid choice for the solo player. Now, we come to the little chickaroni here, which is Deinonychus. Now, Deinonychus is a really fun dinosaur, super fun to play. The thing I have with it is that it it basically has no damage. Deinonychus really has no damage. It has one of the lowest combat weights in the game. I believe it's on par with Rhamphorhynchus here. It's like 1000 or something. And the bite is meh. It has a sever tendon ability, which does bleed when it's lashed onto you, but you can only use it, I think, couple seconds. And last time I tried that ability, it is pretty glitched, and most of the time it doesn't even register. It does a low amount of bleed. So if you want to do damage with Deinonychus, it's not the dinosaur to go with. If you want a double jump, fun, agile little chicken, that's perfectly fine. It has Lucky Feather, which protects it from a singular attack that would otherwise send it to the respawn screen. But it really doesn't have anything going for it except for being fun, right? And that's sadly, I know I'm gonna get hate for this, but Dynon is D tier for me. I'm sorry, but I don't really see it. I don't see it being a good solo dino. Now, I haven't really played with the true aquatics in this game, so I'm just going off of what I've seen from the stats. Eurhinosaurus is really interesting. I kind of wish there were more aquatic players, or I kind of wish the map would incline players more to play aquatics, but sadly it's not the case. There's just too far in between. So Eurhinosaurus has a normal attack that does damage and it does bleed, and it can also latch onto other dinosaurs and cause them to bleed. It's fairly agile, and I guess you could, with proper skill, you could beat either of the other true aquatics. I guess I'm counting Sarco as a true aquatic as well. So Eurhinosaurus, I say, would be. I think it would be a B tier. Now we got the one and only Hatzegopteryx. So Hatz is my baby. I'm gonna try to be as unbiased as possible. But Hatz has one thing going for it that pretty much 90% of all the other playable dinosaurs don't have, and it's its ability to fly, right? So Hatz is a flyer. It has the combat weight of a Pycno, so it's a heavy mid tier. The damage on Peck is really good. It's spammable. It has the best precise turn in the entire game, which makes it impossible to be surrounded or to be ridden by other dinosaurs. No matter how many there are, you can just flick in an instant and just peck their face and send them running. It has a stab, which does a whopping 100 damage, ignoring armor and combat weight, so it does 100 damage to everything. For example, say a Spino has 1300 health or whatever, it takes 13 stabs to kill it, right? So, stab, it has a solution to fighting apexes. It has the Peck Barrage, which I'm not the biggest fan of, but it can do incredible damage if the conditions are met. It also has a clamp ability, which allows it to catch the light mid-tiers, so it allows it to catch Achillos and Alios and the chickens and the conch, right? So it has knockback attacks. It can yeet people from cliffs. If you're facing apexes, you can very easily bait them into cliffs. If you watch my previous Hats videos, which there are hundreds of, quite literally on my channel, you're gonna realize what the Hats can do when there is enough skill, right? So it can pretty much deal with any situation in the game, even other Hatses. You just have to know how to fight against them, like baiting them into crashing into a cliff while they're trying to fly overhead you and hit you with a barrel roll or a flail. Or you can lead them to water very close to the water's surface, like you can fly above the ocean, and the moment they come to you, you can wing beat them inside the water, and they will just drown. So, I don't think I need to elaborate further. Adds is straight up S tier. Now, Serato. I've been playing with this bad boy recently. I've been really enjoying playing this pitbull. For being a for being a mid tier, it almost behaves like a heavy mid tier when it comes to in terms of stats, because it's really tanky, has abilities that make it even more tanky. It has the Crack Scoots passive ability, which regenerates a stack every 30 seconds, up to 5 stacks, and each stack gives it 10% armor. So, under normal circumstances, the first hit you land on any Serato you see anywhere is going to deal 50% reduced damage. So, it has a knockback attack with Shove, which also works as a gap closer. It has a bite that is forward facing. Now, this is very rare in a dinosaur because most dinosaurs, if not all of them, and I'm talking about carnivores here, their bite attacks all angle downwards when they bite. They have like a axe motion, like a hatchet motion, where they try to bite something that is underneath them. But with Serato, it's a front-facing bite, and why I love it about Serato is because it makes it much easier to hit other dinosaurs when you're chasing them. So because it indirectly extends your hitbox. If you're not moving your head downwards, but you're rather just keeping it up straight, it sort of keeps the same range rather than reducing it in the middle of the animation. Now, one bad thing about Cerado is that it's a bit slower than the other mid tiers. So it has the same speed as an Achillo, but is slower than a Conch, right? So that being said, it can be caught by multiple, let's say multiple Packies, multiple Achillos. It doesn't really have a surefire way to escape other dinosaurs, and I believe that is the reason why Cerrado almost makes it to S tier, but definitely it's a high A tier. Now, the Kai is pretty much very similar to Eurhinosaurus here, except that I think Kai has a slight edge over it because it has 1,000 combat weight more, but not only that, it has a barrel roll, same as Hatz does. And the barrel roll, and the way it works now, is that it knocks you back and it kind of creates like an oval force field around your dinosaur, protecting you from collision whilst dealing damage to the opponent and knocking them back. So in a straight 1v1, equal skill involved, I believe a Kai would beat a Eurhinosaurus. Now take this with a grain of salt because I have played neither of those, but I'm just going off from the knowledge I have about the other dinosaurs and based on the stats that I looked up and their abilities. So I think Kai is B tier. It's a bit ahead of the Eurhinosaurus. Now, Rhamphorhynchus is pretty much Dinon's cousin in terms of solo usefulness. If this was a group tier list, Rhamphorhynchus would rank up much higher because it's designed to be a support character. But if you really enjoy being loud and flying around and grabbing hunting critters and just being a general nuisance to other players, the Rhamphorhynchus is for you, but it literally has no ability to deal damage to other players. And quite literally, it has no way to deal damage to other players. And if this if this list had an F tier, I would put it there, but I'm gonna put it in D. If you enjoy just having fun flying around, being a nuisance, go for it. It's great. But other than that, really there's nothing else you can do with Rhamphorhynchus. Now, Layton here. Layton is a dino that I've grown fond of over the last few months as a solo. It did get nerfed recently with its bleed receiving a huge hit. Used to be 0.45, then they nerfed it to 0.2, which is more than half. Well, less than half. And now they buffed it again to 0.3. So the thing it has going for it is it has near infinite stamina. So despite having ripping kicks which cost stamina, if you manage your stamina well by trotting and not just running around needlessly, you can pretty much last for a long time. It has one of the best HP regions in the game. And I'm sorry, I forgot to mention health regen for these dinosaurs. That should be also a criteria, but it doesn't matter now. So it has one of the best HP regions, and what this allows you to do is when you're facing a bigger opponent, let's say you're facing a Rex, you can go in with ripping kicks, deal the bleed damage, and let it work on their HP. And say you get a lucky hit from the Rex and you lose 70% of your health. Well, fear not. You can go to a ledge, out of reach of the apex. You can sleep and regain the health lost in literally less than a minute, and you can then just go and keep on fighting. And you just get whittled down the health of your target until they perish. So Layton is really good in 1v1s, very decent. And now it has two ways of dealing with dinosaurs, depending on their size. If it's Apex's dinosaurs that are heavier than it, it can use its ripping kick to deal bleed damage and slowly but surely get them. because bleed values work the same way across the board. They're not based on combat weight anymore. So really, the ripping kick is a tool you use against Titan, against T-Rex, against the other Herbie apexes, and so on and so forth. And it has a pounce. It has Raptor Strikes, which work really well with pounce. And if you're facing smaller and more agile opponents, it's a really bad idea to use Ripping Kick, because against them, the game is very short. It's kill or be killed, right? It doesn't really go it doesn't go as long as it does when fighting apexes. So you want to stack your Raptor Strikes as much as possible until you see them visibly scar up. And the moment you see them scar up, you can just pounce and use the remainder of your stamina bar to finish them off. And also, don't forget to pop Hiss. Hiss is a buff that reduces all damage taken by 50% for a minute. So the moment you pop Hiss on a Laten, it automatically has more effective health than an Alio would or a Conca would. So it's definitely a very strong, solid dino. It has Tail Fan for a burst of speed. It has a great jump, not as great as Dinon, but it's really good. And all of these things in mind, I almost want to put it at S tier, but because it's so squishy and it requires a really high skill cap, I'm gonna place it into a solid A tier. Now Spinosaurus, we're nearing the apex bracket here. Spino is kind of one of the dinos that have been left behind, and it's in need for a TLC most definitely. Spino would be a terrible playable if it didn't have the stomp, but it has the stomp, and right now it's one of the greatest abilities to fend off as the smaller opponents that like to surround you, override you. Plus, it has the option of going into water in case you need to run from a couple of Rexes. You're near water, there's nothing they can do about it. It has a bite, which does less damage than the other apexes, and a claw attack that does almost the same damage. In terms of raw damage, Titan and T-Rex both deal more damage than a Spino, but the Spino has more escape options than those two. And knowing this, it's an apex, it's slow. Don't expect to be catching anybody with it. Unless they really decide to fight you. And don't expect to be able to run away from anyone if you're on land. So I will put it in B tier. I don't think it deserves any higher rating than B tier. Now the Sucho is a different story. Sucho received a TLC not too long ago, which made it pretty awesome. They gave it the same backhand 50 damage, huge knockback attack that Deinonychus received. And this gives it the ability to throw its opponents into water and keep them in water and drown them or do whatever it wants with them. It has really awesome land movement speed when coupled with being dry and having the braced legs passive. And braced legs pretty much means that it can ignore uphill movement penalty and it will move faster downhill. So it's tankier than an Allo. It's a heavy. It's an Apex gatekeep, right? It's not really an Apex. It's almost there. It's not really a heavy mid tier. It's bigger than a heavy mid tier. So it's an Apex gatekeeper, I would say. And it has a lot of damaging options. It has a few claw attacks, doing direct damage, being barrages, doing bleed damage. It has one of the best bite attacks in the game because of its snout. It can reach really far in front. It makes it perfect for riding other dinos, catching them off guard. It's decent at land movement despite its size. It's arguably more maneuverable than an Allo simply because of the braced legs option that is offered to it. So Sucho can deal really well in the 1v1s is quite decent and 1v multiple opponents. It's tanky enough to run to a water source in case it gets chased by multiple smaller mid-tiers that can deal enough damage to it. So I think I will rank Suko currently as it is into A tier, right in the middle. Now we got Tyrannotitan here. By far, I haven't really played much Apexes, but I think it will remain my favorite Apex. Simply because, well, you guessed it, it also has a call ability that gives it brace legs. You have no idea how huge this is for such a big dinosaur, for such a sluggish dinosaur. It has a call that allows it to 90% of the time ignore uphill movement. It has double the stamina of a T-Rex. The speed it's below average, but it's an Apex. You cannot expect it to be as fast as the others who are smaller than it. The bite that it does hurts a lot. It does the biggest bleeder in the game pretty much, along with perhaps Stegosaurus, is Tyrannotitan here. It has a passive that makes it bloodier the more bites it lands on the opponents, and when it reaches 100%, it gives it 100% stamina regen. So if you want to play Apex but you really can't stand how sluggish they are, and you want something that has a fairly decent stamina regen for its size, you want to go with Tyrannotitan. And pretty much it has a juke as well. So fighting smaller opponents is definitely doable. If you master the juke, you can pretty much lead them into your tail, juke at the right time, use the heavy bite or the normal bite, and just catch them in 1 or 2 hits. They will flop. So it's really well suited against fighting multiple opponents that are smaller. Now, every Apex, bear in mind, every Apex will struggle against multiple other Apexes, especially if they're of the same type. So I'm not too sure if we should even count that as a disadvantage. That being said, I would rank Tyranno in the B tier, or should I rank it low A tier, possibly? Let's do low A tier simply because of its rather decent stamina compared to the other Apex. Now, we got the good old laughing seagull that is Thalassodromeus. Their lasso is incredibly fun. I grew it immediately when it came out, I believe. I had a lot of fun playing it. It's one of the dinos alongside Allosaurus and Alio. It's the one that needs the most to receive a TLC. Like really, Aldron, if you're watching this, give our boy a TLC. Please don't make this any longer because I'm pretty sure everyone would enjoy and love to play Thalasso. Because it has only one bite attack. That's about it. It has no other ability except a bite attack. It is the same weight bracket as the chickens here, pretty much. And it has an ability which is kind of like a secret technique / exploit, to where you can pretty much lead other Hatzes into you mid-flight and cause them to take massive amounts of collision damage and yeet them that way. But it takes considerable amount of skill to pull off, and not everybody can do it. It's really fun to play. It can swim as well as fly. It's an all-terrain vehicle. I should have mentioned Rhamphorhynchus also can go into water. So because it has some sort of damage, way more than these two here, I will place it into C tier. So C tier now has pretty much, it's a low C tier. C tier has become the, what do you call it? The needs TLC. C, more like TLC tier, right? I'm gonna type it TLC tier so you guys know. This is pretty much TLC tier. Right. Now, Sarcosuchus. Man, did Sarcosuchus get done dirty? Dirty, dirty. Like, has it been a year? I don't even remember. It basically was on par with the Suchomimus, and then they nerfed its HP by almost 50%. It's unreal how squishy it is for its combat weight. It has the 5,000 combat weight, same as the Sucho, if I'm not mistaken, but it has about half of its health almost. Now, Sarco is pretty much a one-trick pony. Sarco is pretty much a one-trick pony. It has the charge bite. That's everybody is using the charge bite. And it does have ambush. If you do catch another player off guard with Sarco and they're mid-tier, like Conca, what have you, pretty much all mid-tiers, you can one-shot them with the charge bite. It has clamp, and it used to be really great because it used to be able to catch Anodontosauruses before they buffed them. But like I said, Sarco is a one-trick pony. It really gets outshined by the other semi-aquatics in water. It doesn't really stand a chance against like the Deinonychus or the Spino in water unless there's multiple Sarcos fighting them and they're just alternating charge bites. If you get caught on land, you can pretty much just hit Alt F4. There's nothing you can do. Pretty much all of these, even a Dynon, can be your doom. So, Sarco is definitely in a really bad spot. The only thing it can do, which is swim and fight in water, it's not the best at, right? And that makes Sarco go straight into the infamous DLC tier. But I guess it's going to be ahead of Thalassaur here. Now we got the Pycno. Pycno is a heavy mid-tier. My god, it's so good. Pycno has braced legs. You guys know I love braced legs. It's the best passive in the entire game, and you cannot change my mind. Pycno has cracked scoots, same as Ceratosaurus does here, so it has increased armor on the first 5 hits. It has one of the best stamina pools in the game, despite its size. It has really great stamina, especially if you take second wind, you will never run out of stamina. It has a charge which allows it to get away from multiple smaller opponents. They can't really do anything about it. It can catch. I even caught Alios with my charge, with a couple of charges and bites. I even managed to catch an Alio, which is a really hard thing to do, but Pycno is able to do it. It has the head slam ability that does an insane amount of damage in one hit, but it also leaves you dazed if you miss it. So it has a high risk, high reward playstyle. It's very robust. You can play it. It has a huge knockback abilities. It has juke, which makes it turn around same as the Tyrannotitan here. So unless you're faced with multiple other Pycnos that really know what they're doing, there's really no way for you to lose against groups of, I don't know, toxic Discord mix backers, what have you. Has enough damage to bag everybody. And Pycno is just one of the best solo dinos you can play. Straight up S tier. Arguably even better than a Dasp. Has way more survivability than a Dasp, so it will go ahead of it. Now we got the Megalania, my favorite little lizard. Megalania is one of those dinosaurs that is easy to play and hard to master. Everybody can play Meg. Most Megs that I've seen don't play well, but the ones that do, they can really deal some serious damage. It has the one of the best mobilities in water. It's really fast in water. Just its normal swim speed is very similar to its sprint speed in water. And it has the venom, which did get washed down lately by the developers. So It works, the venom that it inflicts with its normal bite, which does low damage, it works really well when the other dinosaur is low on stamina. It used to be that it would drain your stamina with enough stacks, and that was really strong back in the day. But now the venom that it does is mediocre, but hey, it's better than these dinosaurs that don't even have venom at all, right? So it has a low, very low to the ground frame, which makes it incredibly hard to get hit by especially taller dinosaurs. For example, the Pycno has a really hard time, sometimes even missing the meg right under it when it bites down. It's really great for being inconspicuous because you're low to the ground. The foliage will 90% of the time hide you, and if you're rocking camo colors, you're pretty much 50% semi-invisible the entire time to other players. So the water mobility is great, land mobility is great. The turn radius and such, they're decent. They're not the best, not the worst. The heavy bite does quite a bit of damage. The healing is very decent. You can really do some nasty stuff if you master Meg. It's really, really good. It's really good for a solo. If I had to pick top 3 dinosaurs for solo, which I'm probably gonna do a top 5 dinosaurs list for solo, and I'm gonna explain in depth all of their stats and abilities and everything. But if I had to pick a top 3, Hatzegopteryx and Meg would be one of the two in the top 3. So Meg goes slightly ahead of Pycno. That is, I have to say I'm a bit biased in this decision because Pycno could arguably go in front of it, but this is my tier list. I want to put it there. So enough said. Now, T. Rexy boy, the most hated dinosaur for me, just in general. I hate how overhyped it is. It is a nice dinosaur, but it's just so overhyped. Like, I'm not gonna get into detail. The movie that is responsible for it, you guys know probably by now. But hey, we're not talking about movies here. We're talking about Path of Titans. So T-Rex did receive a TLC, which made it rather interesting. They gave it a passive that would allow it to be very completely silent when it crouches and has a decent crouch speed and has a passive to go along with it, giving it ambush speed while it's crouching. So it does really high damage. It can definitely face tank the other apexes. It can bone break you, and it's pretty much GG if it does. It's fairly tanky. No, it's sluggish as all hell. T-Rex is just beyond sluggish. If you want to travel from point A to point B, well, just be prepared to grab like a coffee machine next to you and make yourself like 7 coffees and maybe eat some lasagna and then maybe you will be halfway to where you want to be. But hey, if you don't mind the slow travel speed and not being able to catch other players unless you really ambush them, you do the ambush perfectly, then Rex is for you. Rex is definitely decent. I just don't really like it that much. So I'm gonna put Rex. Oh, and also Rex doesn't have a juke or something. It doesn't really have a way to deal with smaller opponents that want to ride it. Albeit you can feint, you can bait them into your bites. It's very possible. It just requires a higher skill cap, and most players will just opt to corner camp with T-Rex, which is another reason why I hate Rexes, some Rex players in particular. But this is the dino. I will put it in B tier. That's about it. Now Metri. Metri is one dino that I've experimented with recently. And I have to be honest, I've been very, very satisfied with Metri. Metri is really nice. Metri has insane trot speed if you take the call. It has very decent movement speed, pretty much same movement speed as a Conca or as a Pycno or as a Megalania. Has decent stamina. It could be better, but it's definitely average, slightly above average. But I would say it has average stamina. Now, what I like the most about Metri is its claw attack. The claw attack on Metri has such a nice hitbox. It's spammable. It's perfectly suited against fighting any dinosaur that is slightly smaller than you. You're just gonna melt them. You're gonna be able to headshot Megalanias in a 1v1. And you have a bite attack that can be spammed. It's barely weaker than the claw attack. It attacks faster. It has longer reach, but I find myself using it in very situational, well, scenarios, right? Only when I'm chasing somebody and they're out of my reach, I use it. Now, Metri isn't really the kind of dino you can run away from. You can run away with from big groups, like a group of Backies, let's say, or a group of Concas, or a group of Achillos. You cannot really run away from them. So you're often forced to pretty much stand your ground. And this is where the healing calls come in. Well, it has, I believe, combat calls as well. I'm not too sure. Or is that, no, that I think that's the Lambio. Anyways, the healing calls are pretty much, they take the spotlight as the unique abilities that Metri has that no other carnivore does. And it has a healing call for solo play, a healing call for group play, and it has a debuff healing call as well, which makes it heal, bleed, and fracture faster. So that pretty much makes Metri have 2 health bars. And in a 1v1, that is just so real how strong that is, because it works in combat as well. Now, if you get hit by a bleeding attack, bear in mind the healing is not going to work. The healing won't kick in up until you're done bleeding. In case you get hit by a bleeding attack, you first need to pop your debuff healing call, get rid of it, and then pop the healing in case you're still alive. So, because it cannot really run away from multiple opponents, but it has the healing calls to stand its ground, I will place Metri in high A tier. Yeah, Metri belongs just here. Now, I think we've gone through all 21 dinosaurs here. And let me know what you guys think. Do you agree with me? Do you like this tier list? How was this tier list? This is the first video of this nature I've done, because so far, and I'm gonna keep doing them. I do daily uploads of uncut raw footage of me playing solo, purely solo unofficials, and trying to teach you guys how to best play the game, trying to relay my information, the information that I have on this game based on my experience as best as possible to you guys. So I really hope you enjoyed this tier list. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you agree with it, why. If you don't agree with it, why again. Let me know your feedback, your suggestions. And if you like this enough, I will do it. I will do a tier list about herbivores as well, and possibly maybe do sub-tier lists then. For example, semi-aquatics only tier list, or flyer only tier list, or something like that. And also, the poll that I posted did receive very mixed votes. So you guys pretty much want to see all of them. I will try to fit them in my schedule as best as I can. And tier list was the one that I had the resources more readily available to do. So anyways, without dragging this video much further, I thank you for watching, and I will see you on the next one. Bye bye.